Hi everybody, welcome. I honestly do not know where to start this video today, or whether I should cram it all into one 30-minute video or make 3 shorter videos. I don't know, because I'm truly fed up with most of everything, particularly the royals and ex-royals. When does one draw the line and just go F off? Don't care what you do or what happens to you. Anyway, on this negative note, spare me a minute to say how heartbroken I am about what is happening in England. Here in South Africa, we had tires and vehicles burning in our cities and towns, and it broke my heart, both for the victims of the violence as well as for those who were so aggrieved, so angry, and so desperate that they were prepared to throw all caution to the wind and go over into this kind of, I can't really say criminal, but after all it is criminal and angry behavior. To see this happen in England honestly hurts. It hurts because in conversations with friends, I predicted that this would happen. And you can go ask my friend Kathy. I've had numerous conversations with her about it, and I said, my dear, you are heading towards where we were 3-4 years ago here in South Africa. But anyway, I spoke to my friends and I said, if the illegal immigration is not curbed very soon, you are going to have similar incidents as we had here in South Africa. You see, South Africa has indeed been there. In 2008, 2015, and from March 25th until April the 2nd, 2019, we had massive and violent protests against illegal aliens streaming across our borders. People were tired of foreigners being given houses or accommodation, medical services, food and clothing and jobs, when our own people suffered from homelessness and substandard housing and poverty because of unemployment. Yet for years we were classified as xenophobic. Studies were even done on xenophobia in South Africa, and the country was slandered and threatened with sanctions. Yet now British citizens are going through the same. Increased lawlessness and crime, hotels and homes being occupied by undocumented persons, mostly men, and I feel the pain and anger of the British people, just like I felt the pain and anger of my own people. We care, we love, and we want to help, but our priority is and should be our own families. And as much as it hurts to see others hurt, if our government refuses to protect us and our rights, then sometimes we have to stand up for ourselves. I'm not advocating for violence, not in the least. I think it is sad and ridiculous to burn buses and police vehicles because, at the end of the day, you will be paying for it. But anyway, guys, my prayers and empathy and understanding are with you, my British friends, family, and subscribers. I love you, stay safe, and take care of yourselves and each other. Okay, so on to Harry and Meghan. As I'm preparing this video, I'm still waiting for the CBS interview, which would have aired by the time you listen to this video. So for now, I'm going to talk about Harry and Meghan's visit to Colombia. Many before me have already stated the obvious, exactly what we said about Nigeria and Jamaica. Harry said he won't take his wife or children to England because he fears for their safety. Yet he is taking his wife to Colombia with a much higher crime rate. Yes, of course, They will have increased security paid for by the Colombian government. Yes, indeed, I just said it, paid for by the Colombian government, with 13.8% of Colombians, approximately 6.9 million people, are living on less than 196,000 pesos per day, or then $2.15 per day, and 12.7% live in extreme poverty, where the income is either undetermined or non-existent. I have no idea how much will be spent on Harry and Meghan's travel, entertainment, accommodation, and security. $10,000, $20,000, $50,000, $100,000, I don't know. The question remains, how many women and children would or could be fed on that amount of money, and for how long? The Vice President of Colombia clearly wants to, firstly, draw attention to herself, and secondly, to her causes. But how wise a choice is Harry and Meghan when there are other, more qualified, better educated celebrities who would likely be willing to visit and pay for their own accommodation, food, and contribute to the cost of their transport, and who will likely make sizable donations to the communities they visit. Just off the top of my head, I am reminded of UNICEF, who began advocating for children and women's rights back in 1950, and the celebrities like Selena Gomez and Orlando Bloom, who are ambassadors for UNICEF. Also note that in November 2023, Sophie, the Duchess of Edinburgh, visited Colombia for 3 days, highlighting the plight of women who have been victims of abuse during wars and conflict. She also met with survivors of the decades-long conflict. She sat down with victims and survivors of conflict-related sexual violence to hear their testimonies, experiences, and roles in the peace process. Sophie had indeed a tough schedule. She was shown a center working towards food security. She visited the Humboldt Institute's molecular analysis laboratory. In the capital, Bogota, she met the Vice President, Francia Marquez. Then she headed to the Center for Memory, Peace and Reconciliation, where she joined women who were caught up in the armed conflict. Then she visited an art exhibition and took part in a discussion hosted by the United Kingdom and Canadian embassies with women from the Colombian Armed Forces. In Cali, she visited La Lisurera, the city's center for dance and choreography. Sophie, who is patron of the Central School of Ballet, met local dancers from Incol Ballet. Sophie has been involved and championed the Prevention of Sexual Violence in Conflict Initiative, PSVI, and Survivors, or then CRSV, for years, and has traveled widely to bear witness to testimonies, and has also worked alongside teams from UNICEF. So my point is that Sophie has been working physically, emotionally with these cases and events for years. She has also rolled up her sleeves and worked for hours in feeding scheme kitchens, packaging aid. Sophie worked, studied to reach a point where she can make a meaningful contribution. So what can Meghan bring to the table? A woman who her entire life bullied her sister, bullied her father, bullied fashion shoot assistants, bullied waiters and waitresses, a woman who, in the less than 2 years she spent in the royal family, had 14 staff members resign and leave because they could not work with her any longer. A woman who, regardless of a 99-year-old man who served his country and helped raise her husband, being on his deathbed, still decided to go ahead with the Oprah interview. Yes, she could postpone her Spotify podcast and now postpone her Lemonade podcast for a year, who could postpone launching her ARO scam, but could not postpone an interview because a family member was dying. A woman who told the 96-year-old Queen that she does not own the word royal, who mocked courtesying to the Queen, and who caused so much drama that the Queen's sons and grandsons were too late to say their goodbyes. The things Meghan has done to other women are disgusting, rude, and hurtful. Yet this is the woman being invited to Colombia to highlight the prevention of abuse and violence towards women and children. And talking about children, remember how she bullied little Charlotte before the wedding, calling her fat, etc., bullying and harassing a 3-year-old. And yes, that, my dears, is the woman Francia Marquez wants to showcase in her plot to prevent violence against women and children. It is highly, highly hypocritical and plain disgusting. So what is Meghan going to Colombia for? To practice her flawless Spanish? My grandson can speak better Spanish than her. At least he can say, Hola, gracias por estar aquí. Can she? Can she say that? Someone once told me when I asked whether she could play guitar. Yes, and she can lie in sign language as well. I asked about her speaking Spanish and French, and my question was met with a giggle. Her Spanish being a little less than primary school level, and her French, well, no one has ever heard her say more than what most people will pick up along the way. Bonjour, oui, merci, etc. The point is that although the media sells this to us as them being invited to Nigeria, being invited to Colombia, it usually does not work that way. And from what I hear, it did not quite work that way with Harry and Meghan either. You see, a vampire cannot enter your home unless you invite him in. And in a way, that is how it works with the royals and Harry and Meghan as well. They can, and likely did, contact that general in Nigeria whom they likely met at the Invictus Games in The Hague, and then told him they wanted to visit Nigeria. So he had a meeting or two and was given the green light, and he then officially invited the Harkles to Nigeria. I'm told that Harry and Meghan reached out to Francia Marquez and went through the process. They likely also offered a donation to one of the charities. So, yes, without an invitation, the vampires can't enter, but they have to ask for entry. Although no specific date has been set yet for their visit to Colombia, it is now believed that it will be sometime in November. Well, guess what else happens in November? Earthshot Week will be held in South Africa, where Prince William will be hosting the Earthshot Awards ceremony and be traveling for a day or two visiting some sustainability projects. So there lies your answer, my dears. Copying Sophie and trying to once again upstage William. Why on God's earth is this allowed? Look, I know there's a case to be made that taking their titles will make them even bigger martyrs. But these sad sack victims will play the martyr roles until the day they die, because it is all they have to peddle, with or without their titles. Now I'm asking you, my subscribers, to be honest. Have you ever followed a celebrity as closely and almost intimately as we are following the royal family? Very unlikely, because celebrities are fashionable for a while, and then there's a new star and the others fade away, or at least fade away a little. We are distracted by new or other celebrities. But the royal family is a constant. Once you are intrigued with the royal family, you are actually hooked for years. So I'm telling you now, if Harry and Meghan is to lose their titles and totally split from the royal family, I certainly will not be doing this. No way, not in a million years. I may mention them if they rock up at an event and Meghan shows up bald, dressed in her granny's curtains. But, that is it. Who cares what comes out of her mouth or their mouths? The only reason why many of us are listening at the moment is to call her out on her lies and hypocrisy. But the day she's no longer royal, it will be adios, au revoir, arrivederci, Meghan. Goodbye now. Futsak, Meghan. When she can no longer touch or hurt a royal or the institution with her slanderous lies and bitterness, I personally would not care where she goes or what she says. As an ordinary citizen, she has no power. And if we don't like her, we don't have to watch her or listen to her. These quasi-royal tours will likely also not happen anymore, because there's a world of difference between inviting Prince Harry to your country and inviting Mr. Harry Windsor to your country. It just does not hit the same, does it? Anyway, guys, I'm off to go catch up on some news, maybe listen to the CBS interview. So I'll see you tomorrow if all goes according to plan. So until then, please take good care of yourselves. Bye.